You guys know how much I just relish the opportunity to unload on one of my favorite verbal punching bags. Imagine the smile on my face when I pull up my news feed after lunch and I saw that once again the WNBA is making headlines for all the wrong reasons. From a marketing perspective, this league is so stupid. I don't know if the WNBA has a marketing department. I would assume they have a marketing department, but with this league taking on water faster than the Titanic, I don't know if they have the money to hire competent marketing people. Perhaps their marketing department is filled with unpaid interns. I don't know. The story that I'm about to share with you that broke earlier this morning, this story should have broke in September. That's when this so-called violation took place, happened over August and September last summer. On several occasions, we have discussed the travel issues that plague the WNBA. According to their collective bargaining agreement that the players signed, that's important to remember, they signed this, teams are not allowed to charter flights. Why? Well, in the eyes of the WNBA, it would create an unfair competitive advantage, which is 100% true. Over half of the teams in the WNBA are unprofitable. The league itself bleeds money every year. If you have 1, 2, 3, 4 teams in the league with the financial capability to charter flights for its players, those teams will be more attractive to star players. Well, let me back that up for just a second. There is no such thing as star players in the WNBA. Those teams will be more attractive to the elite players, I should say. Now, while I understand why a billionaire owner like Joe Tsai wants to take better care of his players by chartering flights, while I may even agree with him doing it, the fact of the matter is, it is against the collective bargaining agreement that your players signed. It's as simple as that. It creates a competitive advantage. You can't do it. This situation is extremely ironic when you think about it. WNBA players have been promoting social justice for years now, which is the new fancy term for socialism. Well, here you go, ladies. This is socialism at its finest. You got exactly what you asked for, exactly what you've been promoting. You shit all over America. You shit all over the capitalistic system. It's so unfair. Well, here is your fairness. This is Socialism 101. Everyone is equal. No competitive advantages. Last summer, Joe Tsai, owner of the New York Liberty, he began chartering flights for the team for road games. He publicly thumbed his nose at the WNBA front office. He said chartering flights was an example of equity for female athletes. Since players in the NBA get to fly privately, so should WNBA players. But there's that word again. Equity. They even have equality on their fucking jerseys. Look at this shit. I am catching a boner just looking at all that equality. In business, equality cannot exist. You want some equality in the WNBA? Go out and make the league profitable. Then come to me when they're not chartering flights and talk about equality. But until then, I don't want to hear about it. Anyway, going into the WNBA playoffs last fall, the New York Liberty chartering flights was a big issue. It was a violation of the collective bargaining agreement. So, why are we just hearing about this now? Why was this punishment just handed down today? Well, when I tell you the reasoning, you're not going to believe this. The WNBA, they buried this issue for 6 months because they didn't want this to generate negative publicity going into the playoffs last fall. Didn't want to generate negative publicity. This fucking league doesn't generate any publicity. At this point, any publicity is good publicity. Any media coverage is good coverage. Perhaps if you had broken this story back in September and brought the league into view of the general public, maybe ratings for the WNBA playoffs would have been better. You know the media would have spun this story like players in the WNBA are victims of mistreatment by the league and its owners. People who don't pay attention to the league, which is around 350 million people, they might have saw this story and sympathize with the players. Maybe they even tune into a game and support them. Who knows? Maybe you could have added to your non-existent fan base, but instead, you wait all the way until March, the off season, to resolve this issue and release the story to the media. The WNBA fined Joe Tsai and the New York Liberty $500,000 for chartering flights last season. It was the largest fine in league history. That figure actually represents damn near half of the WNBA salary cap for its players. Now, on the surface, it appears to be a harsh punishment. But Joe Tsai is the 9th richest man in the world. $500,000 to him is like $5 to us. The league also considered taking away draft picks as a form of punishment. The WNBA front office, they took this infraction so seriously, there were serious discussions of shutting down the franchise. Yes, they were considering eliminating the New York Liberty from the WNBA. I have a better idea. Let's take this a step further. Instead of just shutting down the New York Liberty, why don't we shut down the entire WNBA? I get so tired of listening to these players whine and complain about their supposed mistreatment. Instead of viewing themselves as lucky that they're paid to play basketball while the people writing the checks are hemorrhaging money, WNBA players constantly want more and more and more. All in the name of equity, of course. Last month, Sue Bird took part in a WNBA media conference. In case you don't know, Sue Bird is the wife of Megan Rapinoe. Like her wife, Sue Bird believes in being compensated without having to earn it. The topic of travel was broached during the media conference. I am going to quote you what Sue Bird said verbatim. Quote, I think what charter flights represent in the world of sports is it gives you a little bit of validation. It's saying that your league is so successful, it has the finances to charter flights, which is incredibly expensive. There's not many businesses that just charter flights left and right. So I think for a lot of us, it would just be an indicator of that. It'd be an indicator of financial success, end quote. Can you believe this bullshit? I can understand the need for validation. I really can. As people, we all want to be recognized for our hard work, our accomplishments. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys validating me in the comment section every day. It means a lot to me. I read them every night before I go to bed. I don't doubt that WNBA players work hard. I don't denigrate their work ethic. Like I said, I understand the need for validation. If you're the Chicago Sky, you just won the WNBA championship and no one gives enough of a shit to show up for your free championship parade, I imagine you feel salty about it. But in order to receive validation, you have to provide value. You have to make people care. No matter how badly the media wants the WNBA to succeed, they just don't. And the reason they don't provide entertainment value. Sue Bird's comments last month, it represents everything wrong with the mentality of players in the WNBA. This false notion that because men in the NBA have chartered flights, it's only fair that women in the WNBA have them as well. Sue Bird claims chartered flights are good for optics. It says that your league is so successful that you have the money to fly your players on private, expensive flights. It is an indicator of financial success. I happen to agree 100% with that statement. Private planes are absolutely an indicator of financial success. Where is the financial success in the WNBA? This league can barely afford to fix the popcorn machine at the concession stand. You know those mops they use to dry floors during games when players fall on the floor and get their sweat on the floor? Those mops are actually old NBA mops. NBA teams, they were just going to throw them away, but instead, they handed them down to the WNBA. The NBA, you see, they not only prop this league up financially, they also make sure they have clean floors too. WNBA players signed a new collective bargaining agreement just 2 years ago. They agreed no charter flights. Now, while I understand Joe Tsai wanting to take care of his players, hell, he even offered to charter flights for the entire WNBA for 3 years. While I understand it, you ladies signed this agreement. If charter flights were such a big deal, why did you agree to the CBA, which strictly states no charter flights? You could have refused to sign it. You could have went on strike. But you'll never see a strike. You'll never see a labor dispute in the WNBA. Why? Because the players don't make enough money to go a full season without getting paid. Major League Baseball, they are in the middle of a labor dispute right now. If the players strike, season is canceled, the majority of Major League Baseball players, they don't give a shit. At least from a financial standpoint, they're sitting on millions. But when you're making 50, 60, 75,000 a year, you can't afford to forego a year's worth of salary. The fact of the matter is, WNBA players have zero leverage, and they have no leverage because no one gives a shit about this league. Baseball players have leverage in negotiations. Major League Baseball has a core fan base. WNBA players think they have leverage because ratings were higher in 2021, but that is when you compare them to the record lows they set the last 4 years. 2017, the WNBA averaged 171,000 viewers a game. They had nowhere to go but up. Last season, they averaged just over 300,000. And it's not like WNBA games are hard to find. It's not like these games are hidden on Russia TV, which has pretty much been banned globally. These games are on ABC, ESPN. I guarantee you, had there not been this huge push for woke bullshit the past couple of years, the WNBA would not be on ABC, maybe not even ESPN. Airing these games drags overall ratings down for the network. ESPN averages 1.5 million for the NBA, ABC around 3.5 million. They average over 1 million for baseball and college basketball. Then you have the WNBA, drawing an audience 100,000 less than the population of Des Moines, Iowa. Let me know what you guys think. Joe Tsai fined for violating the CBA that the woke WNBA players signed. A case of players who have pushed for socialism for years whining when socialism directly affects them. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.